Hello there. It's Most Things Kenobi. This is the podcast you're looking for.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Most Things Kenobi, a podcast about Obi-Wan Kenobi and all things Star Wars. I'm your host, Leanne.
And I'm your host, Lauren.
And this week, pretty cool topic, kind of techie, kind of geeky, and I love it. We're talking about sound effects.
Geeky suits us.
Geeky looks good on you, Lauren.
As it does on you, Leanne.
Oh, thank you.
Geek couture.
There's our favorite sound effect so far in this episode, us complimenting one another. End of episode, folks. See you later. No.
Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah.
Come by for a compliment.
Yes. But no, it's, we kind of got the idea because, I mean, how iconic are some of the sounds in Star Wars, right?
Oh my gosh, they're amazing.
There's so many to talk about.
There are. I mean, when I started researching this, I started to realize how much work goes into the Star Wars sound design. They have to invent so many different little sounds, even like the hum of the Death Star and things like that.
Yes.
That we kind of take for granted.
And not only that, but can we just talk about like the creativity and the natural talent that comes from the entire team, but what's his name that does it? Burtt?
Ben Burtt.
Is it Burtt? Ben Burtt. He literally can take an ordinary, everyday pedestrian sound and turn it into something that we immediately recognize in the films. And, I mean, I don't walk around and hear something normal and think, you know what that would be a great sound effect for? But this guy did.
Yeah.
And there's so many talented individuals out here who do that sort of thing. You know, in the entertainment business, I think it's amazing. I think it's really cool.
You have to have like a brain that thinks on a different plane. You know, it's like a different dimension because it's without audio, the movie is totally different. And I highly recommend you look up Star Wars without music. There's a couple amazing videos that maybe I'll even link to them in.
It's so awkward.
They're so funny. It's like the ceremony, the medal ceremony at the end of A New Hope with no music and just like weird. You can hear like Luke's jacket squeaking and like.
It's one of my favorite things.
So funny.
Between that and like the lip reading,
bad
lip reading with Yoda.
So
with Yoda, you know, it's
Siegel, stop it now.
Yes. It's my favorite.
It's my favorite Star Wars song.
It is. Right. A coworker of mine and I, if we're ever in a bad mood and we have the time and no one's like paying attention, especially, you know, an off hour work time.
For sure.
We'll pull up the Yoda bad lip reading song and just, you know, have ourselves a good laugh. So Corby, if you're out there, next time we work together, we got to listen to the song. Anyway, we're already derailed and we're only a few minutes in. So
it just proves how important sound is to these movies in particular, but every movie, basically. We take sound for granted. And then when you start researching all the work that goes into making even just one sound effect, it's pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah. And I think the one that really blew me away, I guess, and I was somewhat referencing it just a few minutes ago, is the blaster shots and anything that kind of is related to a blaster shot was literally Bert walking past one of those electrical lines and bumped into it or hit it or something, and it's that doing, and it runs all the way up the metal wire, and the twanging he captured, and that has become like the iconic blaster.
Yeah.
You know, with the pew-pew that everybody associates with Star Wars. But if you think about it, if you've ever been, like, I've walked and done hikes where those giant electrical, you know, they look like a football field goalpost, basically. And they got those long wires, and if you hit them, the sound travels, and that's it. Like,
yeah, you're like firing a blaster.
What a brilliant thing that is. Like, it's so simple. and he just took a happenstance occurrence
Yeah.
and turned it into one of the most iconic sounds in film history.
Well, and that's just his brilliance, right? It's how his mind works. Because I saw him interviewed once where he was saying that he was at like a grocery store and he heard like a motor on the back of an old refrigerator like sputtering, and he like wanted to record it. He asked for permission to like crawl into their freezer and record their bad motor. It's like, and then he pitches it up or down or slows it down or speeds it up, and it becomes a speeder. You know, it's like, it's incredible.
It's so cool.
He's trained Matt Wood, too, who's now like an invaluable part of Star Wars, because he studied under Ben Burtt for sound design, but he also is like the voice of General Grievous and all of the battle droids, and
which we love.
Oh my, it's a personal favorite of you and I. Grievous is like one of our favorites.
He's our spirit animal.
Jedi scum.
There isn't. Don't lie to us, listeners. You know there's a moment every day of your life where you feel like General Grievous at least once. Don't lie to us. We know.
Especially when I used to work in an office, I was General Grievous every day.
Idiots.
Idiots.
Get out of my way. I'll do it myself.
I love him so much.
We love you, Grievous.
Oh my god.
What a gem he is.
He is a delight. He is one of the pissiest characters in all of Star Wars, and I love it.
And as far as sound effects go, was it not George Lucas's hacking cough that gave Grievous his cough? Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, General Grievous's cough.
Gross.
Yep. Totally gross. To be specific, it wasn't just any ordinary George Lucas cough. He actually had bronchitis.
Oh my.
And there you have it.
Gross.
So every time you have bronchitis, walk around spinning your lightsabers, and it'll at least make you feel better. I'm curious to know what your favorite sound effect is, because at least I didn't ask you. I think you know mine because I told you, but I don't know that you told me yours.
There's obviously the lightsaber is a great sound effect. But if we're talking about really obscure, like less front and center ones, I have two that I really love, and one of them I know you hate.
Oh no, what is it? Oh, I know what it is.
It's the klaxon.
That goddamn, I hate that. It gives me anxiety.
I love that
Go ahead,
sound.
talk about it.
Yeah, it's the klaxon like horn that you hear in the Death Star, you hear it in the Citadel. I like that sound because it's so iconic to Star Wars, and that, like, I don't know how to describe it. It's kind of like a submarine. Which it might actually be. Like, I looked it up because I wanted to see how they made that sound, and a klaxon is a specific, well, it was like a brand, but it's also like a specific kind of mechanical horn. So it's like a crank that spins, and as the rotor spins, it rubs against metal, and that is what's making that sound, which I will not try to reproduce myself with my voice.
That's interesting, though.
Yeah, so I thought that was kind of interesting that it's like an actual physical sound, because nowadays we're so used to digital, and they have sirens that are like digital sirens, but this was like a mechanical thing rubbing against metal, which is like nails on a chalkboard, but it makes for this really cool sound, I thought.
It is a cool sound, but it's a sound that induces immediate anxiety in me, because you know shit's going down when you hear it in Star Wars.
And in real life too, like on battleships and shit like that, it meant like torpedoes inbound. So
shit is hitting the fan.
Yeah.
Act immediately. Yes. Oh.
Yeah.
But I get it. Yeah.
Well, the other one is it's much more common. Like, it's probably a favorite of many people, but I love the Wilhelm Scream.
Oh, of course. Yes. It's great.
It's so funny. And if you ever look up like compilations of every Wilhelm Scream from Star Wars movies, it's great. I laugh so hard I cry when I watch those. If you are unfamiliar with a Wilhelm Scream, here it is.
I love the Wilhelm Scream. It's so good. It's so good. It's not on. It wasn't one that I thought of, but it's so like. It's so perfect.
I guess it was made for Star Wars.
Yeah, it was, and then they named it after it kind of became a little bit more like, I don't know if the word iconic or like just customary for.
It is somebody's voice from like an old movie.
Yes.
Back in, I don't know if it was a black and white, like 1950s, 1940s, whatever it was. It was somebody screaming in an actual film. And they took it and like, I don't know if they pitched it up or down or what they did to it, but then it was like an inside joke for all of the sound designers. And then I just read an article when I was researching this. Matt Wood said that they've replaced the Wilhelm Scream in the new movies with some George Lucas scream, but they won't tell anybody where it is or what it is. Isn't that weird?
Is Lucas trying to make a scream now? He's got a cough. He can't have a scream too. Yes, he can. He's George Lucas. But
he can have whatever he wants.
He can have whatever he wants. If he wants to wear his Costco white sneakers and his jeans to the star ceremony in Hollywood, so be it. He's George Lucas.
Yeah.
Get off his back.
He is the like epitome of normcore, like the Jerry Seinfeld
Yes.
school of fashion. So what is your favorite sound effect then?
Hands down, TIE Fighter.
Oh,
I just love it. I have loved it since the first time I ever watched Star Wars, like ever.
Yeah.
I don't like the Empire. I'm a rebel. And an Anakin stan / Darth Vader stan, so try and figure that one out. My life is a mess.
You're a complicated woman.
Yeah. I just love the weird sound that TIE fighters make. I think it's cool, and it loses a little of its glimmer to me when I find out how they make it.
Oh, really? I don't know how they make that one.
They took a recording of a screaming elephant and combined it. Well, it was from a film. There was a screaming elephant in a film in the 50s. They took that particular screaming elephant and combined it with the whoosh of a car on wet pavement.
How interesting.
Now, when you put those two things together,
it's not so magical sounding.
That's not cool. But a TIE Fighter is so cool. Like the whine it makes when it comes,
screech.
It gets louder and then it phases out. I love TIE Fighters.
Well, it's like a herald announcing the arrival of Darth Vader when you
right,
hear those.
that too. And the TIE Fighter is a strange ship anyways. Mm-hmm. The design is, what is that?
I don't know. It's
what
not
is that?
aerodynamic.
How does it fly? What is that? And the whole thing's kind of messy and I love it. Mm-hmm. So I guess a screaming elephant from a 50s movie and a car on wet pavement is appropriate. I don't know, but
it works. They make it work.
Ben Burtt was looking for a sound for something else and came upon this stuff, combined them and said, okay, we'll use it for a TIE Fighter. So he was researching sounds for something totally different.
So interesting.
Stumbled upon this, and there we have our TIE Fighter. I love the shriek scream of a TIE Fighter.
It's iconic.
I love it.
It's amazing. Mm-hmm. Well, and it's right up there with, it's in that moment when Luke is doing the run on the Death Star and you hear those.
Yes.
And they keep cutting back and forth between the TIE Fighter and the X-Wing. And it's like, the sound is so, talk about an anxiety-inducing sound.
Right? Yes. Perfect use of manipulating the sound to create that,
Yes.
And that's one of my favorite scenes anyways. So
right. It's perfect.
I guess it had an impact on me, huh? But if you go to Galaxy's Edge and you're walking through Batuu in the streets, they will occasionally play the sound of a ship going by.
Oh, that's cool.
And the walls rumble. And of course,
wow,
the magic of Disney, right? But you literally, when I was in there, and before I got used to it, I've been there several times at this point, but the first time I was there, sometimes you'll hear a TIE, sometimes you'll hear, just a regular, gunship or just a regular transportation ship,
mm-hmm.
the low rumble of something being parked.
That's so cool.
I literally looked up, because it was so real. And they fade it in and out, through the speakers that are all over the place. And it's such a cool, way of making it more immersed.
I was going to say, it's like they know exactly how to fully immerse you in the environment.
And it's all the sound effects that we know from Star Wars. So they're putting it in theme parks to make it more realistic. And it's all the stuff we already know.
That's
the sound
so
effects
cool.
that we know and love. And I just got giddy when I was there, and I heard. Now I'm speaking about the Florida location. I don't know. Maybe the sounds are different. Maybe they play different sounds.
Yeah.
Between California and Florida, whatever. The time I heard a TIE fighter, you're in the Sith area. You're kind of in the. Well, it would be what? What's it called?
The Empire.
The new Empire. What's it called?
The New Order.
First Order. Yes, this is
what happens when you're over 30. You can't remember a fucking thing.
Well, when you're in that section, they'll play one, and I went, ooh, and I was like, oh, that's my sound. That's my favorite sound. So yeah, TIE Fighters probably my favorite sound effect.
I love tauntauns too.
Tauntauns.
Yeah.
Oh, time for me to get sad.
They're also an animal. It's like an Asian sea otter pitched down.
An Asian sea otter.
Yeah, and I actually looked up what they sound like, and you could kind of hear it. Their vocalizations are very strange, and then they pitch them down, and it becomes that classic.
Yeah. You did that really well.
Did I? I'm afraid to listen
really
back
good.
to that. Maybe I'll just insert the sound effect there. Everyone's got a tauntaun impersonation, don't they? I can't be the only one.
Yes. Well, everyone has a Chewbacca impersonation. So a sea otter for a tauntaun.
Mm-hmm.
Chewbacca is, according to this list, 4 bears, a badger, a lion, a seal, and a walrus from Long Beach.
That's very specific.
A specific type of walrus from Long Beach, who was sadly moaning because his pool had been emptied for cleaning.
Oh, that's sad. That's Chewie's sad sound.
Yeah, that's Chewie's sad sound.
Oh, that's really funny.
4 bears, not 1.
Yeah, why
not
specifically
5, 4? A badger, a lion, a seal, and the Long Beach walrus. I just...
Tell me this. What does a badger sound like?
Maybe it's... I'm pulling this out of my ass, but I do wonder if it's when Chewie laughs. You know how he laughs like... You know, like that? I'm getting... You know, it's this like passive-aggressive like chuckle that he does.
Snicker, yeah.
Yeah. He cries more than he laughs, that poor creature.
Yeah. I like when he laughs at Han, though. Laugh it up, Buzzball.
Yeah, laugh it up, Fuzzball. Han looks so good in that scene.
Oh my god. And all of Empire
Harrison
Strikes Back.
Ford, seriously, Empire Strikes Back, Harrison Ford is like premium quality Harrison.
Especially like on Bespin where he gets a little disheveled and
Just a little, yes. Aw.
Good shit. Lucky Leia.
I have a favorite sound effect that I just love.
Oh, please.
It's ridiculous.
Please share.
The voice of Chopper,
Oh my
which is Dave Filoni.
Oh my god, I love Chopper. So Chopper is a spirit animal if there ever was one.
I mean, he's so like, you know, but he's sweet too because he is literally Hera's bestie.
Yeah. His hair is R2D2.
Yeah, and he's been there since the beginning now that we've seen the Bad Batch, and he's always there for her.
He's amazing.
Just like R2.
And so funny. Like, Chopper made me laugh out loud. I don't even know how many times. It was amazing. And I love Dave Filoni all the more for doing that voice.
Absolutely. And that just, if you listen to it and you keep that in mind, it's ridiculous. It's like when Matt Lanter does the voice for that little creature on Hondo's shoulder.
The lizard monkey thing.
The lizard monkey thing. It's like, if you listen to it, and you know the sound effect is actually the same person who voices Anakin Skywalker. It's like...
I love Jango Fett's seismic charge.
Interesting.
It's so cool. They describe it as like...
That's a good one.
An audio black hole, kind of, where it's like the sound is delayed and then it has this like reverberation.
Yes. On a similar note, I love the sound, or the lack thereof, of a force choke.
Oh,
where the
yes.
sound is like sucked out.
I love that too.
It's more prominent in the Clone Wars series. In the original trilogy, if you listen to like when Vader force chokes someone, there's always like music over it and stuff. It's a very, but there are times where the sound literally gets sucked out, like your airway is closing. And
Yes.
I love a good force choke because I'm a sick bastard.
Well,
Take that however you will.
we know how it was meant.
Yeah.
The first time I ever experienced that or heard that was when I saw Rogue One. And it's like they bring the audio down to 0 and then bring it back up into this high-pitched ringing at the same time. And it's just like,
Yeah.
I remember at the time thinking, it's about fucking time. Like, this is
Right.
what we've needed all along
Yes.
with the force choke. And I'm sure they didn't have the technology to do it previously.
Right.
And
right.
the fact that they're doing it now, it's just like, yes, it makes that sequence so much more enjoyable to watch.
I know it. I know.
It's
and
great.
it's like, it's one of those things where sound, that the actual effect is manipulated so that there isn't sound, but then they bring sound back in.
Yes. So you're kind of experiencing it with the character.
Yes. I would have never thought of that one, and that is an excellent one. Because now that you mention the electrocharge, I'm thinking of it, and it's like, yeah, that is cool.
Yeah.
Do you know how they made it?
They won't say.
Oh, they won't say.
That's one that Ben Burtt won't talk about. And he did an interview for filmsound.org. They have like a Q&A session with him where people sent in questions and he wrote all these very elaborate answers. And they said, the sound produced by the seismic charges were simply awesome. How did you get that twang sound? And his response was, I prefer not to discuss in detail this sound at this time. After all, can't I keep a few secrets?
He certainly can.
Yeah, and I was
But
like,
that makes it even more intriguing.
yeah.
That's very cool.
It's such an interesting sound that I had kind of forgotten about until I started researching for this episode. And then I was like, oh yeah, that's a really
That's cool.
cool one. And
That's a good one.
like you said, even more interesting now that we don't and maybe we'll never know how it's done. It's pretty cool.
The only other one I had that is one of my top favorites is the iconic Darth Vader breathing.
Oh yeah.
I mean, come on.
That's great.
It's so internationally known. And it was very simple how they made it. It was just Ben Burtt put a microphone in a scuba diving gear thing and submersed it, and that was it.
Yeah.
It was just various breathing, and they manipulated the tone of it all, and we got, well, James Earl Jones.
Oh yeah.
And then they have it was just scuba breathing apparatus.
But it's so like when you hear that, I love whenever they have it in a scene where you can't see Vader, you hear his breathing before you see him.
Yes. Yeah.
It's so
like the
great.
Rogue One scene, which is giving me chills right now just thinking about it. You want to talk about an entrance when you don't even have to enter.
Yeah.
You already know who it is before the lights come up. Like, how is that for like taking a sound and making it fucking legendary?
Yeah.
Talk
Talk about iconic. Holy shit.
And not only that, it's frightening as hell.
Yeah, if you heard that coming to you, you'd piss your pants.
Yeah, forget it. I would act like every single one of those people on the Rebel ship in the scene in Rogue One. I feel all of their frantic fear and like, get us out of here. The guy on the door,
Yeah.
like the I totally get it.
The guy who runs down the
I
hall
love it.
and goes, launch, and like grabs the thing.
Yeah.
Every time my like blood pressure goes through the roof during that sequence. It's so good.
It's like crazy because his daughter's literally on the ship that's getting. I just love the whole. We'll do a whole episode on just that one scene someday.
We
Like,
need to.
but his breathing is just as iconic as a lightsaber igniting, or Chewbacca, or just any of the laser blasts. Like, it's right up there.
Yeah.
It's right up there in the top.
For sure. I love the Millennium Falcon, like, failing to go into light
The
speed.
whoop, 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 whoop. It's just the sound of Leia's annoyance and Han's like, I can fix this. I got this. Like,
Oh my god.
And it just keeps happening.
It's so great. I love that.
The sad groans of the engines failing to leap into light speed were made by a collection consisting of a dentist's air jet, a 1928 biplane, and an arc light motor starting and stopping. And the sound of a broken sink in the studio's bathroom. So
That's particularly apt.
everything including the kitchen sink. Yeah. So obviously the most iconic sound in Star Wars is the sound of the lightsaber, right? And if you don't, it elicits excitement in me. I love the sound, especially if you own a lightsaber and it has the sound effect. You know how fun it is to turn that thing on, right?
It makes you feel so powerful.
Yes. A more civilized weapon for a more civilized age, right?
Yes.
And it's, in case anyone doesn't know, Ben Burtt used an old motor from a projector in the USC cinema department and combined it with other elements to give it the legendary hum. It's not been changed. The same method is used to this day. It's,
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
that's it. That's it, bitch. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Yeah. Before we end this, let's talk. Give me one sound effect you hate. Do you have one? One that just irritates the shit out of you?
I have to think about that.
Because I know mine.
Tell me yours.
Tuscan Raiders. They just sound uncomfortable constantly, and it makes me feel uncomfortable constantly.
That's funny. I like Tuscan Raiders.
You do?
I do. It's kind of like, I think it's because
so
it's
uncomfortable.
it's a joke between me and my sisters. Sometimes we'll do the like sound effect and like raise our arms above our heads.
Oh, wow. Like when they're like, when they do the thing with the staffs.
You know what I don't like? Are Ugnaughts. Do you know what those are?
I don't think so.
They're the ones that like control carbon freezing, or they're like in trash compactors.
Those they're the pig mechanics,
yeah,
right?
they look like little pigs.
Yeah.
I don't like their squealing sound because it sounds like a pig in pain, and I don't
Yes,
like it.
I can totally understand that. I get that one. Yeah.
Their sound effects weird me out. I don't like it.
Yeah. Tuscan Raiders were made by the sound of a braying donkey. So maybe because it's two animals that sound like in distress, that's why we don't like them.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's funny because sound effects can have an effect on someone. Maybe it's meant to, if you use a sound effect like a squealing pig, you know, that elicits a certain emotion in someone, and maybe it's purposeful, right? You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
You have sounds that are pleasant and you have sounds that are very unpleasant, and it's used for a purpose.
Yes.
That's the magical art of sound effects.
Yeah, something especially that's dissonant is going to cause a subconscious distress. You'll feel anxious and uncomfortable, and it's because our brains like patterns, and so when we break that audible pattern, it creates anxiety, and you can use that to your advantage if that's exactly what you want your audience to feel. So that's why Ben Burtt and Matt Wood are so fucking brilliant, because they know how to use sound to either uplift you or make you uncomfortable, and it's what makes one of the many things that make Star Wars fucking awesome. So next week, we invite you to come to a delicious discussion where we talk about why Obi-Wan Kenobi is not a cinnamon bun.
That's
and
right.
we will explain what that means next week. So if you don't know what a cinnamon bun is when talking about a character, not necessarily the delicious snack, we will explain what a cinnamon bun is and why Obi-Wan Kenobi is not one.
Yes, I look forward to this because I'm going to back you up. He's not all sugar, spice, and icing. Although, icing on Kenobi wouldn't be too bad.
He is his own dessert.
And we're going to turn it over to you. Let us know, what is your favorite, or what do you think is the most iconic Star Wars sound effect? Is it any of the ones we talked about? Do you like the sound of a klaxon alarm? Do you hate the sound of Vader's breathing? Let us know. We would love to hear your responses.
Last week, we took a little trip to the galaxy far, far away, and we went on vacation to a bunch of amazing planets. And we asked our listeners what their favorite planets are, and on an Instagram poll, it was pretty overwhelmingly Naboo. Sorry guys, it's the opposite of Leanne and my favorite, but it is absolutely beautiful, and you cannot deny that it is one of the most gorgeous planets in the Star Wars universe. But Leanne and I are more in agreement with shalazer.lightsaber on Instagram. She says, Team Hoth here. I hate heat, I don't like sun if I'm under it, but I love cold and snow and having to put on so many layers of clothing that I turn into a huge ball of fur. I would turn the old Rebel base into a huge, comfy home with my cat and chill by the fireplace at night. During the day, I would go exploring the snowy landscape and find dozens of lakes where I could go ice skating or drown into it. Also, that planet would be so undercrowded, and this is what I need. Same girl, same. Leanne and I will pack our bags and we will meet you on Hoth ASAP. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Most Things Kenobi podcast. Remember to follow us on Tumblr, Twitter, and Instagram, and don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast player. Plus, you can always find us over at mostthingskenobi.com.
So until next time, my space twin, may the Force be with you.
Always.